Cracker Barrel is facing an insane backlash after a controversial rebrand, and customers are definitely making their voices heard, and they're getting the last laugh. Now, as you all know, Cracker Barrel is collapsing, and the leadership simply refuses to face reality. So, Cracker Barrel has also angered loyal customers, confused investors, and damaged its own reputation with a disastrous rebrand. Now, as you all know, Cracker Barrel is ignoring the backlash simply by dismissing decades of tradition and doubling down on choices people never asked for. Now, simply put, Cracker Barrel is losing the trust that built its success, and the fallout is already hitting hard. From stock drops to empty parking lots, this insane backlash is actually growing louder every day. Now, it's over for them, and the customers feel betrayed. And you know what? They're not staying quiet about Cracker Barrel after this insane backlash, and the customers get the last laugh. All right. So, this is also coming in from New York Post, where they've also shared here with the so-called apology Cracker Barrel put out was simply a disaster. You see, it wasn't an apology at all. They said they could have done better job sharing who we are, as if people are too dumb to understand the changes. Now, that's the tone they're taking with paying customers. Talking down to them, basically ignoring the feedback and acting like the problem is not theirs decisions, but our perception. You see, Cracker Barrel simply just mentioned values in their statement, but the values that they're talking about, their customers care about, their authenticity, history, and respect for traditions, they've been tossed aside. You see, customers are furious about the rebrand, and for good reason. You see, Cracker Barrel simply removed Uncle Herschel from the logo, okay? Ditched the old time decor and simply just stripped away the atmosphere that people love, myself included. The backlash over Uncle Herschel isn't just nostalgia. He simply represented Cracker Barrel's roots and heritage, and now he's gone, simply replaced by something soulless, sterile, and longtime guests simply feel like the company doesn't care about them at all. You see, it's not just about a logo, it's about what the logo stood for, okay? And it wasn't racism. Now, the response has been brutal online. You see, Cracker Barrel's apology post has been flooded with angry comments, as I'll show you on the previous video, from customers who actually feel betrayed. Now, people are calling out the leadership for gutting the brand while pretending to honor its history. You see, they're simply pointing out that the company is no longer offering, the same experience that actually kept families coming back for generations. And guess what? Wall Street noticed too. You see, Cracker Barrel's stock has dropped 17% in the last month, showing investors have lost confidence in this particular direction. Now, inside the stores, the changes are just as bad. Long-term visitors have noticed the new sterile look, brighter lights, white walls, and fewer decorations. It doesn't feel like the Cracker Barrel that people grew up with anymore. Now, part of what made Cracker Barrel unique was walking into a place that felt connected to the past, where every location had its own charm and history. Now it simply looks generic and bland, stripped of personality, and customers aren't really sticking around anymore. But the shift actually goes deeper than aesthetics, though. You see, Cracker Barrel's leadership has pushed hard into this ESG and DEI messaging instead of just simply focusing on the food and customer experience. Now, that's clear on their website, where they highlight environmental, social, and governance values more than anything else. Now, while no one's against, safe food or a positive workplace, longtime fans see this as a distraction from what Cracker Barrel used to be. Now, people didn't go for, didn't go there for political statements. They went there for comfort food and nostalgia. Now, the customers are also frustrated by menu changes. You see, fans who have been eating there for years are noticing fewer traditional options and substitutions that make no sense. Classic dishes are gone, simple requests like making an omelet get denied, and even long-time staples are quietly replaced with modern alternatives that don't land. Now, Cracker Barrel has forgotten who its audience is, the regular people who made it a household name in the first place. Okay. Now, to make matters worse, the leadership still seems to be determined to chase an audience that doesn't even want what Cracker Barrel offers. In other words, that audience don't exist for them. Their stores were built on family road trips, Sunday church crowds, and travelers looking for hearty country meals. But the CEO simply wants to turn Cracker Barrel into something it was never meant to be, simply chasing trends instead of embracing identity. Now, the customers didn't ask for mimosa brunches or sanitized spaces. They wanted the Cracker Barrel that they've always known. Now, look, I'm be honest with you. I'm a city boy. I was born in the city, raised in the city, grew up in the city, and currently living in the city. Okay. I like the country nostalgia. That's why I loved Cracker Barrel when I went there before. Okay, and simply put, I mean, I'm disappointed by it, but at the same time, it's like, wish they can go back to changing it, but honestly, I doubt they will. And it's not just the rebrand, it's the attitude behind it also. You see, Cracker Barrel's leadership acts like, customer outrage is the problem rather than taking accountability for their decisions. Their statement implied people would get it if the rollout had been packaged better. That right there is insulting. It says they think loyal customers are too clueless to understand change when the real issue itself is the change itself. Now, the corporate arrogance is driving people away faster than any logo update ever could, okay? And basically, here's the reality. Cracker Barrel and their leadership is not backing down. You see, the CEO hasn't shown an ounce of remorse or willingness to listen. You see, they're convinced that this direction is the future and they're sticking with it, even as restaurants empty out and longtime customers disappear. Now, their strategy seems built around ignoring the backlash, hoping it will fade while they actually rebuild the brand into something unrecognizable. Okay. But honestly, if anything, the situation mirrors what we've seen with other companies that actually alienated their base to chase approval from investors or elites. That includes places like McDonald's or even non-restaurants like Disney, as I've always talked about on this channel. Now, Cracker Barrel isn't learning from failures like Bud Light or Target. They're simply copying the same bad choices. Now, leadership seems more focused on ESG scores and appealing to DEI corporate brand boards than on keeping the customers who kept them alive for decades. That's why the comparisons to Disney keep coming up. Simply destroying heritage to win points with people who never supported you in the first place. Now, the customers actually used to choose Cracker Barrel because, simply put, well, it felt different from other restaurants. Every store had its own personality with walls of unique memorabilia from the region. It basically seemed like it wasn't even a corporate chain restaurant. Okay, it was authentic, tied to its roots, and unlike anywhere else. Now customers walk in and see white walls, generic signage, and missing artifacts. Cracker Barrel simply used to celebrate local history, and now it looks like they're simply erasing it. Now, even the loyal employees have spoken out about, what's happening. Former staff members of the restaurant describe how the company has shifted away from its original values, simply removing what made it special piece by piece. One longtime worker said that the Cracker Barrel used to feel like a family, but it doesn't anymore. And customers can sense that particular change. Now, when the people serving you have lost faith in the brand, that's when the decline becomes even more obvious. But what makes this worse is that Cracker Barrel refuses to accept that there's a problem. You see, they're simply acting like the backlash is just temporary, as though people will eventually come around. But if you look at the numbers, empty parking lots, declining traffic, and sliding sales, customers aren't waiting for Cracker Barrel to explain themselves better. You see, they're leaving. And once loyalty is gone, it's nearly impossible to go ahead and rebuild. Now, for decades, Cracker Barrel was a symbol of Americana, road trips, and family traditions. Now it's just becoming an example of what happens when leadership forgets its audience. You see, customers didn't ask for a trendy new vibe or corporate messaging or wokeism. They wanted the same place they've always trusted. And by ignoring that, Cracker Barrel has turned the loyal fan base simply into a frustrated vocal opposition, and the damage might already be done. Okay. Now, the lesson here is simple. People don't want a sanitized, rebranded Cracker Barrel. They want the original experience that the one that kept families coming back for generations. Now, honestly, until leadership understands that and stops dismissing its core audience, the decline isn't going to stop. Cracker Barrel had something unique and meaningful, but honestly, if they keep going down this road, well, they may lose it forever. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Be sure to smash the like button, share the video far and wide across social media, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell for future uploads notifications, and I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, peace.